Thank you very much, Charles. Everyone should know that we are joined today by press from the Peace Coalition, and the Peace Coalition has made quite an issue of the fact that this is Mother's Day. So I'd like to read to you the story of two different mothers. The first is Concerned Gun Owners of Bucks County Mother's Day Mother of the Year, Melinda Herman. And I'll read you the news article. A mother of two was home with her children in Loganville, Georgia, when she heard a repeated knocking at the door. Concerned, the mother called her husband, who told her to get the kids and hide. The mother complied, retrieving a gun and taking her children into a crawl space. By the time they were hidden, the criminal who had been knocking at the door had made it inside the house and was making his way towards the closet where the family was hiding. The home invader opened the crawl space door, at which point the mother fired 6 shots from a .38 revolver, striking the criminal 5 times. The mother kept the revolver trained on the home. The invader exited the house. Once outside, the criminal tried to flee in his vehicle, but only made it a short distance before he was captured by police. And the police said that when you have 5 bullets in you, it makes it kind of hard to run. So the net result of the policies of the Concerned Gun Owners of Bucks County advocate are: family is defended and safe. Home is secure. Children protected, and the criminal is shot and apprehended. That is justice. Now, the Coalition for Peace Action seeks disarmament of citizens. So let's talk about what happens when citizens are disarmed. Philadelphia, posted March 22nd, 2013. Philadelphia police have released surveillance video that they say shows 2 suspects who allegedly forced their way into a 62-year-old woman's home, tied her up before sexually assaulting her and robbing her. The incident happened Wednesday at 2:15 in the morning in North Philadelphia. If you see the suspects, don't approach them, police said. Call 911. The net result of the policies that the Coalition for Peace Action advocates are a woman raped, a home invaded, and the criminals are on the loose, free to terrorize, rape, and burgle citizens once more.
There you have it.
So it is, we get to Mother's Day, and of all of our speakers, Miss Scarpulla has the most important job, and that is the mother of 3 children. If our country would rebuild the respect and love for dedicated motherhood that has been washed away since the 1960s, much of the gun crime we suffer today would disappear. But until that day, a well-armed mother is a loving, responsible, and dedicated mother. Professionally, Ms. Scarpulla is a traveling nurse from Albany, New York. For years, she was adamant about not having a gun in the house, especially when she had children. Her husband, a Marine, and I understand Marines love their guns almost as much as they love their wives, is a firm believer in the right to bear arms. Ms. Scarpulla's story appeared on CNN, and it's an interesting and powerful one, and we're very glad you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just so you guys know, if I flub up a little bit, it's my first speech since college. I've only recently just found my voice. Unfortunately, I was, like you said, very much against guns. Thank you. I was very much against guns. Growing up, we did not have guns in our house. We were told that they belonged with police officers and the armed forces, and that was it. And with that, you know, it was something that was ingrained in me and ingrained in a lot of people. So when I met my husband, as a former Marine, and he also has a criminal justice degree, he was very much pro Second Amendment. And I wasn't always such a good wife. I didn't always listen to what he had to say. And when I was pregnant with our first child, I said, I don't want guns in our house. I think that's not safe. And we talked about it, and while neither of us was pretty much happy about the end, we decided to keep one gun in a safe. And I made sure it was locked at all times. So we go on to have more children, and the concerns for safety grew with me with having more children. As a single female, I traveled around this country as a traveling nurse by myself. And I had years of karate, I had self-defense classes, I had pepper spray. I thought I was good. And unfortunately, looking at my kids, I thought, that's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. I mean, if I had to protect against 1 or 2 people, what am I going to do with my kids? If something happens to me, what's going to happen to them? So it took a few years, and it took one incident where we were out in rural Maryland. We were on a 16-acre farm, very beautiful. But my husband calls me after he leaves for his night shift and says, there's some cops down the street. They're looking for somebody who escaped custody. He goes, just make sure the doors are locked. I'm going to work. I'm like, oh, great. I didn't sleep. I was very nervous, and I stayed up all night. And when he came home the next day, I said, I am ready to learn to shoot. You need to teach me. So we spent quite a few days of just education. You know, how to handle a gun, how to load, unload, before I ever pulled the trigger. And when we went outside, I can tell you that pulling the trigger was something I was terrified of. I was afraid I was going to fall on my butt. I was afraid that I was going to drop the gun and it was going to go off. I had all these fears, totally unfounded, but I was uneducated. And my husband put his steady hand on my back, and I said, okay, let's do this. And I shot my first shot, and I can tell you I was ecstatic. It was the most exciting, thrilling thing I've ever done. Because it wasn't bad. I was like, the recoil's not bad, you know, and as everybody makes it out to be, or as I thought everybody made it out to be. And I kept hitting the target, and I kept getting more excited. And for the first time in my life, I felt empowered. I felt that I could go to sleep at night, and if something were to happen, I could protect my kids. And I am a mama bear. I will protect my kids at all costs. And I finally felt like I had the tools necessary to protect them. And I just want to say that, you know, the Sandy Hook tragedy, I want to bring that up, because it is something, as a mother, I can tell you I cried. I have a 7-year-old and 2 other school-age children. And it tore me apart to think if something like that were to happen to them. I couldn't even imagine. I just cried. I thought that was the most, you know, senseless act of deranged whatever. And I thought, there's got to be another way. The principal of Sandy Hook had just recently instituted new, quote-unquote, common sense safety measures. Security, locking the doors, and obviously it didn't do anything, and that's a true tragedy. That is the real tragedy, and the fact that she stormed the Lanza without a gun is another tragedy. She had no way to protect herself, because the only way to protect yourself against a guy with a gun is with a gun yourself, and we all know that, and that is something I try to tell other people, now that I know that myself. And my biggest thing now is to start educating other women. I work with a lot of women as a nurse. Currently working in Albany, a very liberal city, and a lot of my nurse friends did not know that I had learned how to shoot and that I was pro-Second Amendment. They knew my husband was, but when they found out, they were very concerned. And they kept saying, you have kids in your house, aren't you concerned? And I said, no, because I teach my children safety. There's a proper way to teach your children how to be safe around guns, and you start them at an early age. And all my children have learned how to shoot. They started off with an airsoft pistol, very easy. And you teach them safety from then on. So with that, along with educating other women, we also have to partake in educating schools. The schools, obviously where these shootings are, they have those gun-free zone signs, which is silly because the criminals do not look at those signs. So we have to start instituting new measures. And in Utah, they have, some of the teachers have learned to conceal carry, and they have gone through some rigorous training to protect the children in case something were to happen in their school. Nobody knows which teacher has a gun, so it's very easy for them to, for anybody to go in there not knowing who had a gun. And I think it's a great diversion technique, and that's what we need to do, is to divert people from doing these mass murders. And so we should be able to open carry or conceal carry in these places where they are not allowing guns. I urge all of you to get involved with your schools, because the other thing is I wasn't educated on our Constitution very much. I went to an all-girls Catholic high school, And in my senior year, when U.S. government was taught, I was told that I was better off taking European history. Yeah. And so my great liberal education just kind of enforced all of that. So we have learned that in schools, the idea of patriotism is taught. The meaning of patriotism is taught, but it's not felt. It was never felt in my school, I can tell you that. In 3rd grade, I do remember always saying the Pledge of Allegiance in one school, and I felt a sense of patriotism then, and that was the last time, which is very sad. So we need to educate schools to find out what they are educating our children, to see where they are coming out, what information that they're being taught. We need to learn more about this Common Core and anti-American propaganda that is being taught in our schools. Very sad. So I urge all of you, I thank all of you for your support, and I ask you to continue to support our Second Amendment and our freedoms so that our children will have freedom and for generations to come. Thank you.